Hello, crafty friends. It's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I am here with another one sheet wonder and a Christmas card. So, this one sheet wonder template is over on my blog, and when I first started experimenting, this was not supposed to be a one sheet wonder. This was supposed to be a way for me to use all of those 2 by 6 inch strips that I have left over in my various paper pads from when I cut a 4 by 5 1/4 sheet to go on a card. And like that covers the base of an A2 size card with a little bit of a border. So that's a very common size I cut, and then I get all these 2 inch strips. And in my 6 by 6 paper pad tutorials, I share different ways to use them. But today I wanted to just really use them up. So I was like, well, what if I cut them in half? And I cut a bunch of them. I was doing it with a different paper pad. And I realized that combining 3 of them made a cute little design. Simple, but and then if I used 3, that meant that I could get 6 of them out of one sheet of 6 by 6 paper, and voila, a one sheet wonder. So I took a 6 by 6 sheet of paper, I cut it at 2 inches, and then another 2 inches off, so I had 3 strips of 2 by 6, and then I cut all of those in half to get 2 by 3s. You don't have to worry about the measurements. Those are free templates over on my blog, so you can go download that, put it in your sketchbook or whatever system works for you. Then I cut some coordinating cardstock, and I did that 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. What's nice about this one sheet wonder is it is super fast and simple. So to me, great for Christmas cards. I am working on another one sheet wonder idea right now, and it has a lot more cuts, which I like the results of lots of different papers, or like lots of different cuts of paper, but they certainly take a bit more time. So here I'm like powering through because I have all these 2 by 3 sheets cut out. I got 6 from each paper. I used 2 papers because my paper is single-sided and I wanted to mix patterns. You certainly don't need to do that, but this will give me 4 cards. And if I just go through and I run the tape on all of them with my ATG, it's going to be much faster than if I tape one, adhere it down, tape another one, adhere it down, etc. So just to give you an idea of like when I'm batch making cards, a lot of times that's the sort of style of something I'm doing. This is the ReverseConfetti Sweet Stripes paper pad. I think the ReverseConfetti sale will still be running when this video comes out. I'm not affiliated with them, but I will just be linking all the products I use as I always do. I do like this pad because it is very simple with the stripes. I've used it a few times for one sheet wonders, and this is not a Christmas paper pad, but this like pinkish red and green sheet worked out really well. And I also picked out a red paper for my stash. I wound up a couple years ago, I think at this point, buying a pack of all these different sheets of red of the 110 pound from Michael's, and I still have it left. So I just kind of sometimes have to think of excuses to use it, which is why I sometimes hesitate to buy a lot of colored cardstock, because I don't always use it up and I don't want to have to store that much. They can get kind of bulky. All right, so my design is super simple. There's a card sketch that goes with it that shows you how to do this design. I like that it looks really good portrait or landscape. So here's if I was going to design it portrait, I'm going to make it landscape. I will be coloring a digital stamp to go with it. If you don't like coloring, don't want to add an image like this, you could of course pick something that's already cut and colored, like the die cuts that they sell that go with paper pads sometimes, and that could save you time. Or just use a large die. The die that I use for the sentiment, I think if you just left that in the center, it would still look like a nice card. So up to you, but I'm going to share my coloring real briefly here. This is a digital stamp from Streamside Studios. I think that this stamp set works particularly well if for like basically a Mexican or Southwestern Christmas card, because it has the cactuses, which I always think of the American Southwest and Mexico with them. And the digital stamp set does have Spanish sentiments to go with it. I'm not going to be using those today, but therefore, like, I think that works out well. As I mentioned before, one of the organizations I donate to wants more Spanish cards, so I've been kind of working on that. These probably won't be able to go out this year, but I don't mind holding on to them sometimes if I know they're going to be useful in the future. I'm doing really basic Copic coloring like I always do. I'm using YG 17, 13, and 11, making my shadow areas very small and my highlight area very large. I put my shadows underneath the hat and at the sides of the, I guess, like bumps in the cactus. I'm not trying to think of like what are all the words for the things I'm trying to say. Or also like where the body of the cactus meets the arms, there would be a drop shadow there. So keeping it real simple. And I did go back and highlight the shadows because I thought I wasn't quite bold enough with them. And I blend it out. Like I just do a line of the darkest color, a very slightly larger line of the medium color, and then most of it, and this, you're familiar with this if you've watched some of the other videos, most of it's just the lightest color. I find when you do that style of coloring, you do want to consider that you need to keep those light colors inked up really well because you are using a lot of ink in them. I like to keep my Copic coloring simple, and one way I do that is by not using a lot of colors. I don't want to always have to go back to my markers and pick something new. Also, I think it helps everything tie together better not to choose too many colors. So I decided that my pot would be the same green as the cactus. And the Christmas lights, the little like end of them, I know sometimes they can be different colors now, but when I was growing up, they were always green to match the tree, the cord and everything. So I just decided to make those green also to keep it simple. I'm going to be using some reds. If you notice, these are the same colors I used on the dragon that this was the last video I released. And again, that's just about like keeping it simple. Having a go-to red color or a go-to green color allows me to, use my markers more quickly and get more cards made and more coloring done. So it's R39, 37, and 35. I will put my shadows where the bow is coming in at the center and where the bow is casting a shadow on the little ends of the bow. For the Santa hat, I just kind of decided to pick a strong shadow. I decided I would put a shadow on the left there. There is no light source because this is not it's not set in a scene. And I already knew there would be some drop shadows where the hat is sort of folding over on itself. So by putting a shadow on the other side as well, it gives it the look of being rounded as the center sort of has a highlight and comes towards you. Okay, there are much better tutorials for coloring Christmas lights. I'm going to keep it simple, as I've said. That's what I prefer to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a really light version of the color that the light is going to be. So if these are blue lights, I took a really light blue, this case a B00. I would recommend literally like the lightest one you have. I should have probably gone a little bit lighter even. And then I just sort of dabbed the marker on, intentionally letting it go outside the line so it looked like it was sort of glowing and there was casting some blue light off of the Christmas lights. And here's where I take the lighter marker because I wanted my little cast of light to be a bit bigger, but I already thought I'd kind of gone too dark. So yeah, again, my recommendation, just whatever the lightest that you have of any particular marker. The Copic brush tips work particularly well for creating these sort of just dabbing effect. If you have a marker that has only harder tips, I don't know if it would work as well. I don't really know much about other markers. I invested in my Copics, and so I don't use any others. All right, so I did the same thing with a pink color. I'm going to come in with a green color as well, even though that would kind of blend into the cactus, but it means not having to pick another color. I went with pink, blue, orange, and green for my Christmas lights. You can definitely go the whole spectrum, but again, I mentioned I like to keep my color palette a little tighter sometimes. And I did kind of regret going with the pink and blue just because the pink blue combo has a very sort of baby look, you know, like the light blues, light pinks they use for baby cards. So maybe a different color there would have been a better substitution. Okay, so I shared in a recent haul these 2 dies from Mintopia, but I bought them through an Etsy shop, which I will again link in the video description. Love that she has a lot of Spanish products. And I did the Feliz Navidad and the Warm Hugs, which I'm not going to butcher how you say it in Spanish, but there's 2 different sentiments. I chose to cut them out of white and put them on craft because I love that look at Christmas. It reminds me of a gingerbread man where you use the white icing on it. And so it just like says Christmas to me. And therefore I have both sentiments done that way because I'll be making 4 cards in the end. And I'm just going to make a little arrangement and glue everything down with my Barely Arts glue. And that will be it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I will leave you links to all of the products that I used in the video description below, as well as to some of my social media, because I'd love for you to follow me over on Instagram or other places, and the templates and some videos here at the end. Have an awesome day. Thanks for joining me. Bye.